Marcus Aurelius. He was a Roman emperor, and his journal became published and known as Meditations. So all of the following methods of keeping a Stoic journal could be done in your mind, but it is far more effective to write them down. So a quote from Marcus Aurelius: "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil. But I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own, not of the same blood and birth, but the same mind and possessing a share of the divine. And so none of them can hurt me. No one can implicate me in ugliness, nor can I feel angry at my relative or hate him." So it is inevitable that something will go wrong in any given day. It could be anything from a minor inconvenience to a major setback. If you are familiar with the Stoic concept of the dichotomy of control, then you know the only thing we can do when things go wrong is to react in the most appropriate manner without frustration or anger. But it can be difficult to act like a Stoic when misfortune catches you off guard. This is where morning preparation journaling can become useful. To practice morning journaling like a Stoic, all you have to do is spend a couple of minutes each morning writing down all the things that could go wrong in your day. And if you don't have time to write things down, I often just grab my phone and send a messenger voice recording to myself, or I just have a free voice recording app from Google on my phone. And later on, if I have time, I write it down. Just like the quote from Meditations, Marcus Aurelius did this by writing down all the negative qualities people could exhibit and reminding himself that none of them could hurt him or make him feel angry. As long as you have a rough idea of what your day looks like, then it shouldn't be difficult to think of all the parts of your day that could go wrong. If you have an important meeting, a presentation, an exam, or a date, those are all the things you can write down as possible encounters with misfortune. You could be late, forget a part of your presentation, mess up your exam, or get diarrhea in the middle of a date. Any of these things would take less than a minute to write about. Once you have written the things that could go wrong, remind yourself that even the worst case scenario won't be a big deal. By writing down all the potential adversities and obstacles you may encounter in your day, you are preparing your mind to handle such events. And when the inevitable mishap happens, it will be easier to go into problem-solving mode or accept it with equanimity instead of sulking about it. And don't worry, this doesn't make you a negative person or a negative Nelly, pessimistic, whatever you want to call yourself. But it will keep the fact that anything could happen in the back of your mind. And the more you make this a part of your Stoic journaling routine, or just, you don't even have to call it a Stoic journaling routine. You could just call it a journaling routine, because that's what it is. We don't need these flowery words. The more effective it will be. You will be able to react to anything that befalls you with calm when everyone else might start to panic. So you've got your morning reflection journaling. Now we've got our nightly journaling. You can reflect on your day, or you can just mentally do this as well. Again, it doesn't have to be journaling. It doesn't have to be voice recording. You could just think about it. But it is easiest when you are beginning to start writing it or voice recording it for yourself. I find that writing was the easiest thing for me when I was starting out, because then I could see the patterns of my thoughts. And then from seeing the patterns of my thoughts, I could see where I needed change. Then from seeing the patterns and creating the patterns, then I moved to voice recording. And then from voice recording, I moved to just being able to think about it in my head, cause a change that way. So here's a quote from Seneca. "When the light has been taken away and my wife has fallen silent, aware as she is of my habit, I examine my entire day, going through what I have done and said. I conceal nothing from myself. I pass nothing by. I have nothing to fear from my errors when I can say, 'See that you do not do this anymore. For the moment, I excuse you.'" If you want to become a better person, first, you need to be aware of your faults. That is what nightly reflections are for. At the end of each day, ask yourself these 3 questions. What did I do well today? What did I do not so well today? What could be improved? To answer each question, go through your day in your mind and consider all of your actions throughout the day. Think about when you continued a good habit or reacted to something rationally instead of acting out. Also consider the times when you continued a bad habit or let your emotions get the better of you. Then think about what aspect of your actions or character that you could improve on. It could be anything from not snoozing in the morning to being more honest and having the courage to say no, being authentic, to sticking up for yourself. You can write or say or think up as many answers to each of these 3 questions as you like. But to prevent making this into too much of a chore, 1 or 2 answers for each question is enough. 5 to 10 minutes is all you need for nightly reflections. If you have extra time, you can also write down strategies you can use to help improve that particular aspect of your character. By doing this exercise, you will become more mindful throughout your day to not repeat the bad habits and to continue doing the good ones. And before you know it, you have fixed many flaws that you once thought were irreparable and a part of you. If you continue this habit for months or even years, you will also be able to read through old entries and see how far you've come since then. When I first started this, I don't know if I should admit this, but I had 2 or 3 pages of things that I needed to improve on. I can no longer relate to the 3 pages of issues that I had with myself. And I wouldn't have been able to overcome those 3 pages of problems with myself had I not been able to look at them every single day and go, what do I need to work on? Oh yeah, let me keep this in the forefront of my mind. From then, I learned how to be better. And from learning how to be better, I could be better. Because then I could build those new brain connections to form those new habits and new patterns for thinking and behaving. So a quote from Jordan Peterson is, compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. It is so crucial that you don't judge yourself too harshly in your journal. Something to consider, talk to yourself like how you would talk to your best friend or someone that you're trying to comfort or someone that you care about or someone that you love. We tend to be really harsh with ourselves. Because if you don't care about yourself, you have a relationship with yourself longer than anyone. It's okay to hold yourself to a high standard, but you must also be unbothered by your flaws. Understand that in order to improve and to become better, there must be something to improve on. Here's another good quote that I have written down. It's by Seneca. He says, if you would not have a man flinch when the crisis comes, train him before it comes. Now, there can be positive visualizations and negative visualizations. By negative visualization in Stoic terms, it is meant to build resilience and perspective. It can also be called fear setting. Fear setting is a method of conquering your fears by defining them. Unlike the previous 2 Stoic journaling methods, fear setting is not exactly a daily exercise. It is done once in a while or when there is something you're unsure about pursuing. There are 4 steps for fear setting. Step 1, write down the thing you're unsure about doing. And it could be anything from asking someone out to quitting college to work on a startup, anything. Step 2, write down what's the worst that could happen. You could get rejected or you could fail after spending a ton of time and money on something. Step 3, write down what you could do if the worst case scenario happens. If you get rejected, you could simply move on with your life and try again. There was a woman who set out a goal to be rejected at least 100 times. And she wasn't rejected at least 100 times. It was just a way to overcome her fear. So by moving on with your life, you can just keep applying yourself. You fall down, you get back up. And if you're, let's say, using my business example, if your startup fails, you go back to school or you take what you've learned and work on a new startup. It might set you back a couple of years, but you will be okay. And you will become successful from learning from your failures. Step 4, write down what's the best case scenario. Alright, so the best case scenario, this could be easy. The person asks you out and says yes. Your startup succeeds. All kinds of good things. This could be easy. Fear setting can be tremendously helpful when you're unsure about taking a risk in life. By following the 4 steps, you will often realize that the worst case scenario is not that bad, and the best case scenario is worth the risk. Fear setting takes a lot longer to do than the previous 2 methods of Stoic journaling, but it can give you the courage to take necessary leaps of faith in life. Moreover, it can also prepare you for the worst case scenario, and when it happens, you will know what to do instead of panicking. Because of its benefits, you should be as specific as possible when following the 4 steps of fear setting. Especially for step 3, the more specific your plan is when things don't go your way, the more prepared you will be to handle such adversities. The next journaling idea is gratitude journal. Marcus Aurelius says, "Do not dream of possession of what you do not have. Rather, reflect on the greatest blessing in what you do have, and on their account, remind yourself how much they would have been missed if they were not there." Stoics understand that gratitude is an essential part of happiness or contentness. In today's society, people often believe that happiness is something to be pursued, or contentness is something to be pursued. Happiness, contentness. For anyone who believes in the pursuit of happiness or pursuit of contentness, they will eventually achieve their milestone in life only to find that pleasure or bliss or perfection doesn't reside there. Then they will look for pleasure, bliss, euphoria in the next one, but they will find none. So Viktor Frankl says happiness cannot be pursued, it must ensure. And this is why I say pursue purpose, not pleasure. So people often confuse pleasure for happiness. Purpose gives us happiness, not pleasure. Seek purpose and you will find contentment. Seek pleasure and you will find obsession, need, longing, and more undoubtedly terrible emotions and obsessions. Do not chase pleasure, please. So you ought to look within yourself for happiness or contentment or purpose, because it is not determined by any external factor. One of the most effective ways of obtaining contentment is through gratitude. Unless you are the most unlucky person on the planet, it could be anything from a clean source of water to a family, maybe your own wisdom. By being grateful for these things in life, you will realize that you have much more than you thought, and there is no reason to be unhappy. Here are 2 ways you can incorporate gratitude into your Stoic journal. 1. When you're writing down all potential mishaps that could happen in your day, also write down some things that you're grateful for in your life. I've learned that every time I write down one negative thing, I write down at least 3 to 5 things that I am grateful for. Sometimes they're as simple as, I have hair, I can see, I dream in color. Second, once a month, block out some time to think about what you were grateful for in your life and write it down. For me, it's whenever something bad happens, I do this entire exercise considering, what have I done? What's the worst that can happen? How do I deal with the worst that can happen? What are things that I'm grateful for? Gratitude will wash away selfishness, sadness, depression. Gratitude opens so many doors for you. You can be grateful for anything and everything, even the bad things in your life. For me, I say, well, the bad things in my life have given me opportunity to learn from pain, from suffering. I have learned so much and overcome so much because of pain. Pain and problems are opportunities for virtue. There are also tools such as, the 5-minute journaling app can help you with gratitude journaling. Or I've mentioned it before, the 3 good things with the picture of a smiley face. It's on the iPhone app. I'm not sure if it's on Google or anything. Thank you for listening. I hope this has been helpful. Take care.